Rev up your engines!
Jack of Falls says MSN.com just posted on their webpage the most reliable cars of 2019. Not sure what they're getting at. It looks fishy. Some are okay, some are strange. And how can you do reliability on a one-year-old vehicle? Yeah, you got a great point there. Realize that these big corporations like Microsoft, they take advertising from many companies. And some of the stuff looks okay and some of it indeed is very fishy. You got a point. How can you talk about reliability of a car that hasn't been even out a whole year, just a few months? That's silly. That's plain silly. There's just too much corruptness in this world to believe what any large corporation is going to tell you about products that other large corporations build. It's only common sense. I mean, I've seen some of these car guys say that, oh, this Jeep is one of the best cars of the year, better than the Toyotas, and yada, yada, yada. Well, it's just a bunch of made-up nonsense, Ask mechanics like me that kind of question. Your own mechanic, if you got an honest mechanic, and they'll tell you what's real and what isn't real. And of course, don't go to somebody who just specializes in Jaguars, because they're going to tell you Jaguars are great cars, because that's how they make a living. So use your noggin when it comes to that. Don't believe half of the stuff that you read on the internet or in the papers, if anybody even reads the papers anymore these days. Suzuki says, Scotty, I inherited a 93 Nissan Sentra from the original owner with only 25,000 miles. I changed the tires. The brake lines are a little furry. Well, that's rust. They're starting to rust. And that's dangerous. Said it was from Chicago area. You don't want to take a chance. Look where the ones are really bad. And if you see they're all really bad, personally, look aftermarket and see if you can find all of the brake lines for the vehicle and just buy them in a set where you can unbolt them and bolt them in, or pay a mechanic to build all new lines. We mechanics can get raw brake line and replace it all, because you don't want damage when they look like that and they're fluffy. It means they're rotting away, and one day you might slam on the brakes and you get killed because they won't stop at all. So that is definitely something you'd want to fix right away. You don't want to take a chance with brake systems. Miggles says, Scotty, I got an 08 Chevy Malibu. Recently had the transmission rebuilt at 137,000 miles due to the 35-hour wave plate cracking. The car drives great, but under great acceleration, the transmission shifts hard. You can feel it jerk. Why is it doing this? Well, it's doing it because they didn't fix it right. Obviously. I see that all the time with GM products. But they all have software updates. If that wasn't updated, take it to GM, have them update it. Now, if that doesn't fix it, take it back to whoever rebuilt it and say, you didn't rebuild this thing right. Look, make a video of it so they can't say, oh, we can't replicate it. Make a video of it doing it. And don't accept the car back until they either fix it or they give you all your money back. And then you would either live with it or get it fixed somewhere else. Maybe you will live with it, but you had that transmission rebuilt. It shouldn't jerk like that. If it does, the guy did not fix it right, or he didn't do the software update when he fixed it. That's part of fixing an automatic transmission these days. The guys have to have the computer knowledge too, and the equipment, so that they can go to the GM website and download the software. Anybody can do it that wants to pay for the software, and then put the software in the computer. So do exactly as I said. Pray it just as a software update. Mazda 92 says, I got a Mazda Protege 92 DX manual transmission, first and only owner. The engine replaced a few weeks ago. Overhaul the transmission was done. Now the engine light comes on when I drive for a while and the engine will die. Well, first of all, whoever you had do that work, take it back to him. The man done fix it. You take an engine out, a transmission out. There's so many things that can go wrong when you do that work. And I've seen a lot of guys mess it up. Now, it's a 92 manual transmission DX. Why on earth are you putting all that money into that car? It's really not worth it. That car is worth practically nothing. I wouldn't even go any further with it myself. But take it back to whoever worked on it. He screwed something up. Raghav asked, does changing front rear struts make significant difference to the ride and handling? I got a used 2009 Camry last year and has 89,000 miles, and lately it's more bouncy. Well, of course it does, if you use quality parts. Like, say you get KYB or the Toyota original strut replacements to put in that 2009. It's 11 years old. It should ride a lot smoother. Now, here's something I gotta warn people, because I see it all the time. On the other hand, if your car runs okay, it rides okay, and you go out and buy the cheapest strut you can, sometimes it'll ride worse when you put the cheap struts on. I had a guy years ago, and he said, this thing's riding like crap. I looked at it and said, well, your struts are no good. And he says, this shit changed last week at Sears. And I told him, I said, Well, that's your problem. I said, you went to Sears, and they just went and bought the cheapest struts they could get their hands on, and they were just garbage. So you got to buy good ones. But if it is bouncing around a lot, really, it doesn't matter if they're not leaking. You said they're not leaking, but they just wear out and they can't take the pressure, right? And instead of going, when you take them off, you probably find they go rump, rump, and they're easier to move, and then they're just worn out. Once you take them off, you can see if they're bad or not. SVT. Scotty, I got an 02 SVT Lightning with 69,000 miles. Wow. 17 years old and 69,000 miles. That's really something, you know. Make sure it's the real mileage. What should I look at? I want to keep it to the future. It's garage, kept mostly for Sunday driving. I keep it at 100 miles a month. You're hardly driving at all, so change the oil. And you know, once a year. That's all you need to do. Check all the other fluids. It is 17 years old, so change the coolant. Use the long life coolant that you only got to change like every 7 years or 100,000 miles. Then you don't have to think about it for a really long time. And since it is 17 years old, just keep on all the rubber parts, the hoses, the brake lines, to make sure that the rubber seals aren't breaking and leaking out. But with that mileage, and you drive only 100 miles a month, it should last you a really long time. They are fun to drive, too. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.